This Guy's Garage. Like and subscribe.
Question orale, oral questions. The Honourable Leader Donahad.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Because of the incompetence of this Prime Minister and Liberal City Hall in Toronto, rent there has more than doubled over the last 9 years. What's worse is that the Prime Minister's so-called Housing Accelerator Fund has given $500 million to Toronto, and only months later, the politicians in that city hiked up home building taxes by 20%. Wow. Now 30% of all home building costs is government taxes alone. Why does the Prime Minister keep sending our money to build bureaucracies that block homes?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we see the Conservative leader's hypocrisy on full display. Let's talk about their housing proposal, which the Conservative leader has been delaying debate on for months because he knows it's not ambitious enough. His proposal won't build homes fast enough, doesn't reach enough cities, and creates unnecessary bureaucracy. The Conservative leader would also rip up the 179 housing accelerator agreements and put the GST back on apartment construction. His clear lack of ambition on housing is partly how we ended up here in the first place.
Hear, hear.
That's right.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
When I was housing minister, we built 200,000 homes in 1 year. The rent was only $900 and mortgage payments were half of what they are today. Fast forward to present, the Prime Minister has given $500 million to Toronto City Hall to jack up new taxes on home building. No wonder that when the President of the Residential Construction Council of Ontario, Richard Lyle, was asked whether the Prime Minister would keep his promise for 3.9 million new homes by the end of the decade, he said, and I quote, "No chance." Mr. Speaker, why doesn't he stop funding bureaucracy so that we can get out of the way and build homes?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
It is shameful, again, that the Conservative leader continues to exploit the very real anxieties of Canadians. When the Conservative leader was Housing Minister, let's talk about his record. He withdrew the government from cooperative housing. He supported the construction of 0 new apartments, and he gutted affordable housing initiatives and created new bureaucracies. His housing proposal today continues to fall short. The Conservative leader is simply all slogans and no answers.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
My common sense plan to build the homes would reward municipalities that speed up permits and punish the politicians that get in the way. His approach has not only doubled housing costs, but he's built up Toronto City Hall with monstrous financial transfers so that they can block construction. Mr. Speaker, there have been 50 new tent encampments added in the City of Toronto in 6 weeks. Wow. There are 250 tent cities in Toronto alone. Is that his plan to block homes and put up tents?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the so-called plan that the Conservative leader has put forward on housing does absolutely nothing to address homelessness or encampments. What we're actually investing in is hundreds of millions of dollars to help municipalities across the country build more housing rapidly, create the wraparound supports necessary to support people facing homelessness, and continue to be there on the most ambitious and comprehensive housing plan that this country has ever seen. This is part of what we're having to make up for the lost years in which he was housing minister 10 years ago, not creating housing for Canadians, not investing in our future.
Canadians are hungry and homeless. Yesterday it was confirmed at committee what Conservatives have been saying all along, that this housing minister will never meet his targets. In St. John, New Brunswick, the lack of housing options are leaving a family in a leaky, moldy apartment, and the father of 4, Corey Hamilton, is worried about the health and safety of his family. 10 new people a week are going homeless in Halifax in the minister's own backyard. When will they stop funding photo ops and start building homes Canadians desperately need?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, even Conservative premiers recognize the damage these cost-cutting austerity conservatives would wreak on our country. The only thing these conservatives know how to do is cut, cut, cut.
That's right.
They want to cut the first home savings account that has allowed more than 750,000 young Canadians to save up for their first home.
Right.
They want to cut support for infrastructure that is allowing municipalities to build homes. They want to tear Canada down, Mr. Speaker, but we won't let them.
Hear, hear.
The honourable member from Tobic-Mattaquah.
And all this current federal Liberal government wants to do is blame, 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 and pass the buck. That non-answer will do absolutely nothing for the Hamilton family in St. John who are in desperate need of alternatives for housing. Since the Prime Minister has no plan and the Liberals have no chance tomorrow to build the homes, and all they're wanting to do is continue to build the bureaucracy, why don't they give all of their members a chance to vote freely on this conservative leader's plan for housing? Let's do that tomorrow. A free vote.
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Order. À l'ordre, s'il vous plaît. The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, it is not only Conservative premiers who understand the terrible damage Conservative cuts would do to our country. Canada's mayors get it too.
That's right.
And that's why it was so shameful to hear the progressive mayors of two great Canadian cities, Toronto and Montreal, be vilified by the Conservative leader today. We believe in working with our municipal partners and our provincial ones. That's how we build Canada.
The honourable member from Foothills.
After 9 years, this NDP Liberal Prime Minister is not worth the homelessness or the hunger. The Carbon Tax Coalition increased the carbon tax 23%, driving grocery prices up $700 per family, and a quarter of Canadians are relying on food banks. They can't afford the basic necessities, let alone a summer vacation. Conservatives have a common sense plan to eliminate all federal gas taxes until Labor Day. This will save Alberta families $955. Will the Prime Minister follow our common sense plan, eliminate the federal gas tax so families can afford a summer holiday?
The Honourable Minister for Families.
Mr. Speaker, I find this question very disingenuous. We will take no lessons from the Conservatives when it comes to food bank usage, when they refuse and they vote against providing food to hungry kids at school.
The honourable member from Foothills.
Out of touch is a Liberal NDP government that listens to bankers and bondholders that benefit from Liberal inflation. I'm listening to my constituents like Lisa, who showed me her carbon tax rebate. It was $15. What a joke. It's not a joke for Foothills families who pay $3,000 a year in carbon taxes, have nothing left for food or homes, let alone a summer vacation. The Parliamentary Budget Officer is clear. Canadians pay more in the carbon tax than they get back in a rebate. Will the Prime Minister axe all federal gas tax this summer so Lisa could take her family for a summer road trip?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives are the party of austerity.
That's right.
The only thing they know how to do is cut, cut, cut. And so it is no surprise that they want to cut the carbon rebates that leave 8 out of 10 Canadian families better off. And you know what else they want to cut? They want to cut the National School Food Program. They want to cut early learning and child care.
Yep.
They want to cut dental care that already 2 million Canadians are benefiting from.
Right.
They want to tear Canada down, but we won't let them.
Hear, hear.